Hello, hi, and welcome back. Or welcome in for the first time, who knows? Look, I actually remembered to load up stream avatars. So today's Halloween. Happy Halloween, I guess. I forgot about that. I straight up forgot that it was Halloween and I scheduled a reading stream today. So we're gonna read anyway. My main audience, I don't think is really mostly in the US anyway. So yeah. Or at least not in my time zone is what I mean. Um, so how are you? I'm good. I took forever to get out of bed because I was reading a really good fic. And it's pretty much straight up corn, but it's got feelings, you know? It's PWP born with plot, you know? Not without plot. But it's so good. It's a scum villain fanfic. Oh, it's so good. Okay. Anyway, we're reading Remnants of Filth. We're reading Remnants of Filth. Exactly, Remnants of Filth. We are reading that. We're on chapter 16. We left off on a cliffhanger last time. Ah! Also, by the way, if you hear like screaming in the background, it's Halloween. Again, there are children running about, screaming, crying, throwing up. No, legit, someone was crying earlier. Oh, it's so funny. Maybe they got too spooked. But if the dogs bark, you'll know why. It's because they see so many people out on the streets. Um Not a great idea to be streaming on Halloween like this in this manner, but that's fine. We'll deal with it anyway. I want to get on with this story. Suspicion is what this chapter is called. Remember where we left off? Cliffhanger, a dagger flashed toward Gumong's cheek, and blood spurted. Moji's eyes went wide. Moji's eyes widened. That's where we left off last time. So, this time we're gonna find out what's happening. There's no illustrations in the. Oh, there is! Oh, shit! Oh no, I can't wait for that. Okay, that's fine. We'll get to that at the end, I think. At the end of this stream. Anyway, let's just get started, shall we? I haven't read it a bit. I mean, I have been reading this whole morning, but I haven't like read out loud in a hot minute. So we'll just be getting used to that. I also don't have Mix It Up open because it's been bugging me for the last few streams. So yeah, we're just raw dogging it here. I don't think the redeems are gonna work very well. But yeah, we do what we can here. So let's go. Oh no. Oh no. Chapter 16. Suspicion. Oh no. Okay. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. Oh. I just ate. So my stomach's a little blitted up, you know? Alright. Blood dripped down. Moronglion clamped a hand over his arm, but his silk robes were soon soaked through. Scarlet seeped between his fingers. Yes! The attendants paled at the sight of it, stuttering. My lord! No one had expected that Moronglion would be the one injured. The crowd, in Wangshu manner, erupted. Go get medicine, quick! Get the healing powder! Hurry! Tourniquets. Okay, I know what that is. Muranglion's face was ashen. Somehow, in the instant he stabbed down with his dagger, a red lotus sigil had flickered to life at the side of Gumong's neck. An explosive flow of spiritual energy swiftly followed as a dozen swords of light danced toward him. Not only had they jolted the dagger from his hand, they'd thrown him bodily several yards back. Muranglian was briefly unable to speak. He bit his lower lip, his face flushing and paling in turns. At length he collected himself enough to summon a blue light in his palm and more or less stop the bleeding. "Gumang!" he shouted, his voice shot through with embarrassment and fury. In the chaos, Gumang had scurried behind a table to hide. He was now rubbing his bare feet together, baring his teeth as he stared at Muranglian in a manner both extremely wary and extremely innocent. Those swords of light continued to swirl without pause. They completely surrounded him and protected him within the heart of the array. What are you doing? Oh my god. We're already off to a wonderful start here. One of the young masters in the crowd had once gone to Lome Pavilion to visit Gumang. After a moment of thought, he realized what had happened. It's that array, he cried. What array? Muranglian said angrily. If you know something about it, then hurry up and speak. This array. This subordinate also found out by accident. It's a little embarrassing to speak of. Speak. Once the young master saw how angry Muranglian had become, he responded with all due haste. Wang Shujun, I assure you with all I know, the array isn't triggered by magic or high-level weapons. However, if you summon an ordinary weapon or kick or punch Gumang, he'll get scared and a bunch of those little swords, a bunch of those light swords will burst from his body, and that's having reached this point. Having reached this point, he was somewhat sheepish, but he braced himself to finish. That's why, despite how long Gumang's been at Lome Pavilion, no one can really lay a hand on him. This means so much. Are we all remembering what happened when Moji visited him and how this did not happen with him? Are we remembering that? 'Cause I sure am. Oh boy. Muranglian was still enraged. He glared malevolently, I can't speak today, at Gumang across the table. What kind of idiotic, ridiculous array is that? That young master shook his head. Gumang used to be a goddamn genius with magic. Who knows how many spells he invented back in the day? Many of them had no purpose other than to make girls giggle. This might be something he made for fun way back then. When the young master said this, the rest of the crowd remembered. To this day, one could find scrolls covered in Gumang's randomly scribbled spells within the Cultivation Academy's libraries. The spells were all for things like instantly warming a cold plate of food, turning yourself into a cat for as long as a stick of incense took to burn, and even conjuring a ball of flame to hold in your arms for warmth in winter. The one most well-known spell was named I Agree with the General. It was said that when Gumang first enlisted, he had liked to skip out on those tedious military meetings. To stop the general from finding out, he devised a spell that transformed a piece of wood into his spitting image. The wood would sit there and listen to the general blather while the man it resembled escaped without a trace, herring off in some cheerful adventure or another. Come to think of it, that sounds about right. Right? It protects against punches and kicks, but it doesn't block magic. It's totally absurd. Obviously not a serious protective array. What if it's not? Okay, we're just gonna continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to stare at you like that. It's because I'm drinking tea. Okay. That rascal Gumang just liked to mess around, but you've really got to hand it to him. That pointless little spell actually did end up protecting him, someone laughed. Without it, He'd have been fucked to death ages ago. There are tons of people in Changhua who want him on his back after all. Too bad no one can break through this array. Yue Chengqing scratched his head. Damn, what kind of array is that? He mumbled. Array of the untouchable flower? Footnote, flower upon a high mountain, an idiom describing aloof, untouchable beauties. Give me a break, Gumong the untouchable flower? Another young master started laughing and quietly quipped at Yue Chengqing. Why not go ahead and make it a couplet? Gumong the untouchable flower, Yue Chengqing repeated, fully invested. Then what's the second line? General Mo, the fathomless philanderer. Yue Chengqing slapped his thigh and burst into laughter. That's not right at all, but it's still... What are you laughing at? Murong Liang cut him off. You're so undisciplined. See if I don't take out on your father as punishment, he snapped in humiliated rage. I'm not laughing, I wouldn't dare, Yue Chengqing hastily replied. Let me just say that as long as it makes Wang Shujun happy, you can take whatever you want out on my dad. You can even take my dad out on a date. What is with this guy? This guy's so weird. Oi. Moranglian glared at him. Not only had he failed to show off at the feast tonight, he had suffered wounds to both his flesh and his dignity. He found this very hard to take and turn to bark out. Where are the attendants? Awaiting my lord's orders. Muranglian pointed at Gumong with a sweep of his sleeve. Take this stupid pig away. I don't want to see him again. And go get some more sensible and intelligent people from Lorme Pavilion. As for his punishment... Muranglian ground his teeth, shooting a sidelong glance at Moji. For some reason, ever since Moji had seen this array, his expression had been a little strange. His eyes had returned to the side of Gumong's neck several times. General Mo, have you nothing to say? Moji returned to his senses and looked away from Gumong, crossing his arms. Didn't Wang Shujun plan to give in and relinquish Gumong to my care? He asked indifferently. Muranglian was momentarily startled. Then he said, without an ounce of shame, I didn't mean it. His Imperial Majesty decreed that I would be the one to punish him. How could he so easily change owners? Moji had already known that Muranglian never kept his promises. The saying, a gentleman's word is worth its weight in gold, was more or less bullshit when it came to this man. Besides, that promise had been farcical from the start. Unless the Emperor personally retracted his decree, no one could move to change it. Moji looked up and met Muranglian's overbearing gaze. If that's the case, he said, Wang Shujun should deal with his own people. Why bother asking me? As you say, Muranglian smirked, and turned to give instructions. Take him away. Give him 80 lashes as a reward, and reduce his food and drink for a month. After pause, he added another malicious sentence. If he starves to death, well, whose fault is that? Gumong was escorted away, and the servants of Wangshu Manor came to clean up the table that had been thrown in disarray. They laid out a few fresh platters of food, allowing the feast to resume. I can sneeze. Nope, not gonna sneeze. Nope. Ow. Ooh, that burns. Ow. Oh, I forgot to take my meds. Actually, hold on. One more paragraph. Amid the murmurs of discussion, only Moji said nothing. When the wine cups and chips for drinking games once more rose around him, he looked up again, staring in the direction Gumong had been taken, with a complicated expression. In the shadows, where no one else could see, his fingers slowly clenched into a fist. That's the scene break. I just need to take my meds. What day is it today? Thursday. Ugh. Sorry, my nose is runny. It's not runny, it's stuffy. And it's like clogging up my voice, if you know how it is. I need to take my allergy pill. My tea is not hot at all. Oh, it's stuck in my throat. I love that. Oh, I love it when it gets stuck in my throat. But I can't even do anything about it because I don't have food on hand. I have candy, but that's not good for my throat. I have I have chocolate rocks that I got like 2 years ago. It's just for decoration on my desk. It's so cute though because I have a jar of chocolate rocks and then I have my lizards and my one frog. It's so cute. I should post a picture. It's genuinely so cute. I love being here on my desk because I decorated it so much. And it's adorable. You don't even understand. You don't understand how cute it is. Okay, back to angst. Moji didn't like to drink and hated being hungover, but after returning from Wangshu Manor that day, he sat in the empty courtyard of his house and opened a jar of good wine that had been stored for many years. Oh, it's really stuck in my throat. Cup by cup, he drank until the jar was drained. He looked up into the empty sky where the clouds were clearing over snowfall after snowfall. Li Wei, he said to the housekeeper standing beside him. How many years have you been with me? 7 years, my lord. 7 years, Moji murmured. 7 years ago, Moji had pursued the traitorous Gumong. After crossing enemy lines, he had been stabbed in the chest, and his life had hung by a thread. While Moji lay in bed unconscious, the emperor had ordered Li Wei to go to Jihe Manor to look after him. So it had already been 7 years. Ugh. I really don't have any snacks on hand. I have a cough drop, but that's that's not gonna be good for this. Dissatisfied, Moji wondered why he couldn't let go. Why couldn't he forget? Drinking so much wine inevitably led to a degree of inebriation. Moji wanted to remain clear-headed, so when Li Wei moved to top up his cup again, he shook his head. Li Wei complied. Those who were undaunted by beauty and intoxicated by fine wine were rare. Few men could hold back with ease in the face of desire, but Moji was one of them. What do you think about me and Gumong? Moji suddenly asked. Li Wei startled. You two aren't a good match? He hesitantly replied. Why are you talking about matches between two men? Seems like you've also had too much. Moji shot a glare at him. Try again. Only then did Li Wei react, smiling. Oh, the relationship between you. Everyone knows it's bad. And how was it before? Before? Li Wei thought this over for a while. In those days, I hadn't yet had the fortune to be assigned to my lord's side, but I heard that my lord and General Gu were martial brothers at the academy, comrades in the army, and the twin generals of the empire, as well as... I don't know. To be honest, I can't think of anything else. Some said that you used to be quite familiar with General Gu, and some said it only seemed that way because General Gu was warm to everyone, like sunlight, so perhaps he wasn't truly that close to you. That's about it. Moji nodded without comment. Martial brothers, comrades in arms, two generals of the empire. This was the impression that most people had of Moji and Gumong's relationship. It didn't seem to be wrong. Then, what was it actually? Li Wei asked curiously. Between him and me? Unexpectedly, Moji smiled very slightly and lowered his long lashes. Something bitter was hidden in that smile. Hard to say. can't be said. He paused. Nor should it be said. He finished slowly. No one in Changhua would believe that Gumong had been to Moji. No one in Changhua would believe that Gumong had been to Moji what a clear spring might be to a traveler dying of thirst. He's getting sappy. Before Moji met Gumong, he'd had ambition, duty, unyielding willpower, and no fear of hardship. But the most potent sentiment in his heart had, in fact, been hatred. In Moji's youth, he had treated everyone with earnest sincerity. But what had he received in exchange? His father's death in battle, his mother's betrayal, his uncle's usurpation, and every one of the servants better at taking his uncle's hints than the last. They'd called Moji young master to his face, but they'd all acted under his uncle's orders. He had to be constantly on guard. There had been no one he could trust. He didn't know what he had done wrong to make fate treat him so harshly. That was when he met Gumong. My boy is just autistic. He doesn't pick up on social cues. In those days, Gumong had been so kind, so righteous. Although he was a slave, his status as low as dirt. He never resented or criticized anything. When he and Moji first started exorcising demons and monsters together, Moji had been ill-tempered and often rude, but Gumong had forgiven it all with a smile. He had always empathized with other people's difficulties, even though he had led such a difficult life himself. He always strove to breathe in every wisp of kindness in life, and then did all he could to get a little flower to bloom. He's so precious. The time Gumong impersonated Murong Leon to buy medicine, he knew he would be punished, that he might even lose the right to cultivate at the academy, but he had still been determined to do it. And afterward, as he knelt in the Cultivation Academy's penitence pavilion, Gumong hadn't defended himself at all, had only shamelessly said that he felt it would be fun. Yeah. Clearly, Gumong had done it because he had seen with his own eyes that this village was plagued by illness year-round. He had been unable to bear it, but Gumong was so lowly that even if he used the most obliging manner and softest voice to say, "I want to save people," he would be met with merciless derision. Even if he carved his chest wide open to reveal the unbearable anguish of his heart, he would still be met with sneers at his passion, doubts of his kindness, mockery of his audacity, and ridicule of his trembling sincerity. My dog is not groaning, like at the door because he wants food. It's not time yet. He is so pathetic. Gumong knew all of this, so he didn't argue. It was said that in prominence one should focus on the people, in obscurity one should focus on oneself. Footnote from Jinshin I.E. by Confucian philosopher Mencius? Bunny, it's not time yet. Gumong's circumstances were fundamentally bleak and obscure. He was nothing but a slave from Wangshu Manor, but instead of worrying over where he'd get his next meal or how to win the favor of his lord, he took up the burden of helping the dying and healing the injured. What an audacious fool. But it was this cockiness of his, that sincere heart overflowing with burning passion, that had pulled Moji, who had lost his faith in humanity, back into the right path. "My lord," Li Wei's urging voice broke through his daze. "The night is cold and damp. You should go rest." Moji didn't immediately respond. His hand was still over his brow, covering his eyes. At the sound of his housekeeper's voice, he turned slightly. He turned slightly and flicked his fingers once as if to wipe something away. After several more seconds, he spoke, his voice very low and very soft. "Li Wei, I'm here." "Say," he muttered, "could it be that Gumong never lost his memories? That he's only pretending?" That's the end of the chapter. That's the end of the chapter. The next chapter is called Scruffy Beauty. Scruffy Beauty. Okay. It's only 6:30. This guy gets fed at 7. We have 30 minutes. We have one more chapter to go. He's so silly. Okay, my pill is still stuck in my throat. No amount of tea will bring it down. Is he just faking? Is he actually just faking? Alright, chapter 17, page 181. Startled, Li Wei asked, "What?" Moji's head was still bowed. His chiseled features were hidden in the shadow of his hand, and his low voice was suddenly nasal as he spoke. "Maybe he still remembers some things. Maybe his mind wasn't wholly damaged. Maybe he's only pretending." How could that be? Li Wei's eyes widened. Gumong's illness was diagnosed by Shenong Terrace, and Chenghua's foremost physician, Imperial Healer Jiang, Jiang, came to assess him himself. His core is shattered. He's lost 2 souls. His mind is broken. He thinks he's a wolf. Have you ever seen a wolf who would rather allow himself to be hurt than hurt another? Oh, he's shouting this. He's shouting this. Have you ever seen a wolf who would rather allow himself to be hurt than hurt another? Li Wei was shocked stiff. Was he hallucinating? The rims of Jihajun's eyes were a little red and wet. "What brings my lord to say this?" Moji closed his eyes. His ire wasn't directed at Li Wei. He simply didn't wish to hear any more about how Gumong didn't remember anything. At Wangshu Manor, Murong Liang gave him 2 options: slice off one of my arms or let his face be cut. Moji turned, gazing out at the shadows of the rustling trees. After a long interval, he murmured, "He chose the latter." Hi. Yee. Li Wei stared, speechless. "Tell me, what kind of wolf would make that decision?" Li Wei thought. "Tell you? What am I supposed to tell you? Have you seen that temper of yours? If I said Kumong might not have understood Wang Shujun's question, you'd leap to your feet and kick me to death." Oh. My computer is about to tip over. That's fine. From that day forward, Moji could only be described as possessed. Later, when Moji was in a better mood, Li Wei approached him and tactfully tried to explain. Gumong's mind really has deteriorated. There are many words he can't understand, and communicating with him is like communicating with a 3-year-old child. Any one sentence may have to be repeated multiple times. However, Moji couldn't relinquish this faint sliver of hope. In the end, Li Wei had no other choice. Then, my lord, why don't you go ask Shanong Terrace for confirmation? Moji didn't respond right away. Many of those in Shanong Terrace reported to Murong Lian, so he was reluctant to visit. Li Wei offered another suggestion. Then you can go to the Imperial Healers and ask Medicine Master Zhang. Medicine Master Zhang was aloof and blunt, and Moji's impression of him wasn't especially favorable. But in the end he couldn't bear the torment in his heart and went to pay him a visit. Outside the arching eaves of the extravagant healer's manor, the attendant anxiously told him, Jihujun, Proprietor Zhang left to collect medical supplies. When will he return? This proprietor doesn't set dates for his trips, so it may be a few days, or it might be a few months. Did he say where he went? When the proprietor goes out to collect ingredients for medicine, he roams the whole nation. Moji was rendered speechless. As he watched the attendant's head wobble back and forth, he could only nod, turn his horse around, and go back to his manor. Perhaps his obsession ran too deep. He was preoccupied with Gumang all day, and in his sleep that night, Moji dreamed. He dreamed! Oh, sorry, I don't have Mix It Up right now because it was bugging out last stream. But thanks for the headbat anyway. Oh my. Oh me, oh my. Oh me, oh my. He dreamed! We're gonna dream about it! Okay, that's fine. Yeah! Okay. In that hazy dream, he somehow returned to a day many years ago, the day when he finally understood his feelings and had to confess without a moment's delay. Okay, we're gonna see how this happens. It was a silent night in the garrison on the frontier. Moji was very young, not yet 20. He wasn't yet the indomitable Jihujun, and Gumong was still under Murong Lian's control, having not yet made a name for himself. They had fought a fierce battle against the Lao kingdom, and many soldiers had died. While Moji was packing up the belongings of the fallen comrades, he stumbled across a love letter. He clutched that unsent letter, staring vacantly at it for a long time. Moji's family was dogged by misfortune. Since his youth, he had only ever known treachery and deceit, betrayal and manipulation. This was the first time he had witnessed sincere and passionate love. The cultivator who had died in battle was a coarse man who hadn't even liked reading books, but amid the fires of war he had carefully and earnestly written this long letter, word by word. The letter didn't mention the suffering of battle or the merits he'd won, but rather the mole on the tip of the girl's brow and the new seedlings planted in the courtyard. Why? It's not working. I don't have it up. Oh my god. When the flowers bloom, splendid and... Oh, this is the thing. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Oh my god. I was sleeping. Jeez. It is true though. Okay. We're sorry, I'm getting the mic closer. So we can hear about the writing that this person wrote. When the flowers bloom splendid next year, I'll play the Zhao while Zhao Yan sings clear. Huh? Footnote: a variation upon Southern Song Dynasty poet Zhang Kui's quatrain across the Trihong Bridge. The poem was clumsy and unpracticed, but it seemed to drip with tenderness, and somehow that coarse man was the one who had composed it. When he wrote it, he had truly envisioned singing and making music with the maiden named Zhao Yan in the flower meadow he planted with his own hands, hadn't he? But in the end, all that was left was this little letter. Was this letter caked in dried blood? Moji couldn't express what he felt at that moment. He sat on the corner of his bed for a long time holding the letter. When the flowers bloom splendid next year, I'll play the Zhao while Zhao Yan sings clear. If Moji had been the one to die that day, was there anyone he couldn't bear to leave behind? A familiar figure quickly came to mind, but at first he didn't take notice of it. Only after a long while did he realize whom he was thinking of. And he was instantly shocked stiff as he broke out in a cold sweat. A blaze seemed to ignite in his chest, lighting up everything within him at once. But at the same time it seemed like this inferno in his heart had been secretly illuminating him, laughing at him, tormenting him all along. It was just that he hadn't recognized. Sorry. It was just that he hadn't recognized it before, so he hadn't understood the truth of those suppressed feelings. He sat there blankly, the wildfire in his heart burning hotter and hotter. Something collapsed, and with a howl, something else rose in its place. From outside the tent there came a sorrowful wailing of cultivators who had lost their brothers. He heard the faint sound of a xuan and the soft sigh of the wind. That thin sheet of paper was still in his hand. Tomorrow, who else would die? Tomorrow, who else's relics of love would end up streaked in bloody filth? My bad. All at once, Moji could no longer restrain the impulse in his heart. He tossed the curtain aside and immediately bumped into a healer who had come to treat his wounds. The cultivator started in fright. Mo Gongji? Go away! Oh my god. Now 2 dogs are bugging me. Where was I? Immediately above to the healer who had come to treat the cultivator started in fright. Oh, Gongji. Moji didn't reply. He strode out of the tent, his footfalls quickening with each step, and tucked the blood-stained letter into the lapels of his robe. He would bring it back and give it to the Zhao Yan mentioned within, but right now he needed to find someone. He was suddenly in such a rush, as though if he didn't speak today he would never get another chance, as though death lay waiting before him. Mo Gongji! Mo Gongji! The white-robed healer ran out of the barracks after him. Mo Gongji, the wound on your arm! But Moji ignored him. He didn't care about some insignificant wound. He ran out of the camp, then summoned a spirit horse, and galloped ahead. I'm sorry, what? They're using spirit horses? That is so slay. Why can't I have that? The freezing wind and early snow blew in his face, and the birds of the garrison twittered behind him. He left all those fragmented sounds in his wake. A burst of passion was growing in his heart, and he wanted to pour it out before Gumong, who was on night duty. He could feel his own thumping heartbeat, his emotions burning in a smoky blaze. Even amid the frigid wind and icy snow, his palms were touched with damp. Where's Gumong? He breathlessly asked the garrison cultivator. As soon as he arrived at the northern barracks, before he even dismounted from his horse. I'm looking for him. Where is he? The cultivator was alarmed by Moji's sudden appearance. Does Mo Gongzi have an urgent report? Urgent report? Do I require an urgent report to visit him? His exhales were scalding steam, his tone becoming more and more impatient. Then the cultivator trailed off, hesitating as his eyes grazed over Moji's wounded arm. Moji understood what he meant. Then why aren't you properly resting to heal? Why are you why are you racing across the whole camp in the snow to look for some nameless soldier? Moji was too anxious and too impulsive. He had just realized something extremely important, something that had bothered him for a long time. He had to find Gumong. If he couldn't find Gumong right this instant, it felt as if the passion in his heart would boil dry then burn out. Moji's temperament had always been decisive and firm. The moment he was sure of what he wanted, he had to give it in his hands. Well, he had to have it in his hands. Oh. On top of that, he was young, and he never experienced the bitterness of love. He wasn't even considering the consequences. He had no thoughts for propriety or righteousness, or whether he would be rejected. He didn't know a thing, with his heartfelt sincerity recklessly in tow. Moji arrived outside Gumong's tent in a rush. Standing outside it, his fingers trembled slightly, and his blood grew hotter and hotter, his heart beating faster and faster. In the end, he swallowed thickly, took a deep breath, and flung the curtain open. Gumong, a combat cultivator with well-proportioned figures, turned around. It was Gumong's close friend, Lu Jianxing. Lu Jianxing was also one of Muronglian's study attendants at the academy. He had grown up with Gumong, and he had an incredible temperament. He was gnawing on fruit and reading a sword manual when he caught sight of Moji in the doorway. Mo Gongji! He was shocked for a moment. What are you doing here? Where's Gumong? Oh, you're looking for him? Lu Jianxing took another bite of the juicy pear, then burst into delighted laughter. How come so many people are looking for him tonight? Moji stopped. Who else was there? Oh, no one really. A few of our friends taking him out to the village nearby. You don't know them. Oh Gongji. I was going to join them, but my legs aren't fully healed yet, so I didn't bother. As Lu Jianxing rambled, the anxiety in Moji's heart intensified. He bit his lower lip. Where did he go? He asked. Do you think they're gay? Maybe. Maybe. Where did he go? Lu Jianxing laughed again, ready to answer his question. But just as Moji was about to dream of the answer he had received back then, he felt a sharp stab, as if his heart was instinctively trying to protect him, stopping him from feeling even greater pain. The heavy darkness fell with inexorable finality, crushing Lu Jianxing's reply, and the dreamscape scattered like the most insubstantial of wind-blown dust. The shadows became even deeper, the dream even darker. There were no more sounds. In the end, it became nothingness. All returned to silence. In the books like Smut and stuff, are there ever side characters who are straight? Not in my... not with my headcanons. Not if you ask me. That was a scene break, by the way. Oh god, I'm so sleepy. I don't know if you can tell. I did kind of just wake up, but also this chamomile tea. I do love chamomile tea. It helps me read better, but it also makes me very sleepy. But I'm also very distracted by the pill that's still stuck in my throat. I love it! I want Pokey so bad. I'm gonna try to convince people. No, because they close soon. tomorrow. I'm gonna convince my sister to get poke with me tomorrow. I really want it. I want it so bad. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Next. I'm so on poke. Oh, they close at 10. I think. I think they close at 10. Maybe if I go right after stream. Right after I end stream. Then maybe. I don't know. Okay, continuing. Oh boy. The pill in my throat is making me burp. The next day, whoa, I can't speak. The next day, Moji awoke to the sound of birdsong in the courtyard. He blinked, gradually coming to his senses, as though surfacing from the wreckage of a beautiful illusion. Gumong. Moji was trapped in the dreamscape's afterglow. When he lifted a hand, he felt faint warmth in his palms, as well as a thin sheen of sweat. It was as if he could still clearly recall that scorching, youthful emotion, though all that had happened in his dream had already faded. My lord, Li Wei saw that he was awake and approached with small, courteous steps, bowing to speak. Early this morning, Changfeng Jun sent a messenger with some gifts. They're currently being kept in the flower pavilion. My lord, do you wish to accept them? Changfeng Jun? After awakening from a desperate dream. Nope, that's not the word. After awakening from a depressing dream of the past. Even the brilliant and extraordinary Jihujun needed some time to gather himself. Only after a long while did he knead his brow and frown slightly as he remembered. Changfeng Jun was a downtrodden old noble. At present, though, he still had his status. It was only in name. Moreover, Changfeng Jun hadn't interacted with other high-born families as in many, many years. Moji was rather grumpy upon waking. He pressed at the protruding veins in his temples. Why is he sending me gifts all of a sudden? He asked. He didn't say. Moji was upright and incorruptible. Moji was upright and it's like my mouth just doesn't want to make the form the shapes in which to speak these words. That is all. Okay. La 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 la. Sorry, I'm thinking of other things. I'm getting distracted in my brain. And my brain is distraction. After a moment of thought, he said, Then return them. You can say I've accepted the intention, but since it's neither a holiday nor a celebration, I can't accept the gifts. Yes. After Moji washed and dressed, he walked to the flower pavilion to face the scene of true excess. A delivery of 8 chests containing treasures of pearls and jade, silky gauze and damask. Yes, silky gauze and damask brocade, magical devices and spiritual medicines, and all sorts of other gifts. Upon seeing this, he frowned and summoned the busy Li Wei. Is Changfeng Jun in trouble? Li Wei looked surprised at him. He isn't. Then what does he mean by this? Jesus. Well, Li Wei thought to himself, apparently Changfeng Jun has recently offended quite a few nobles at the Cultivation Academy because of something to do with his daughter. A few of these nobles were of powerful and prosperous great families. Sending gifts to Zihajin was an obvious attempt to test the waters to see if he could get the help of this formidable commander, who had recently returned to the city and wasn't yet caught up with events. But Housekeeper Lee was a highly intelligent man. He knew it was best to avoid involving oneself in matters concerning multiple clans. If my lord doesn't know, then I couldn't possibly know either. Oh, he didn't say any of that shit. Okay. Oh my god, I love Li Wei. Moji solemnly glanced over the gifts a few more times. He still couldn't figure out the sender's intentions, and so he decided to waste no more time on it. I'm leaving, he said, adjusting the fall of his sleeves. I won't be returning at noon. Tell the kitchens there's no need to prepare a meal. Oh, Li Wei replied, unable to stop himself from sneaking a peek at Moji. In the past few days, his lord's behavior had been a bit off. Ever since he returned from Wangshu Manor, it seemed that as long as there were no current courtly nor material what the hell? As long as there were no courtly nor military matters, he went out every day without fail. Sometimes he was gone for half a day, sometimes for the entire day, sometimes only returning in the dead of night. And he never let his attendants follow. Given these clues, no matter how you looked at it, it seemed he was having a secret rendezvous with a beautiful paramour. As soon as the thought came to mind, Li Wei nearly broke out in a cold sweat. No, how could it be? How could it be? There were, first there was Mengzi, and then there was Yan Ping, and that was to say nothing of all the virtuous beauties and scheming seductresses from other from other illustrious houses. All of them sought to win over the noble, aloof, and icy male idol that was Jihujun, but not a one had ever succeeded. Li Wei thought that if Jihujun really was secretly meeting up with the maiden, she had to be a calamitous beauty, of prodigious talents. Expression stormy, Moji took a seat at oh god. I'm trying. But it's really, I don't know, I just can't force my mouth to, I don't know, I think I need a yeah. Oh, I need to do singing warm-ups. La 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 la. Alright. Expression stormy, Moji took a seat at a tea stand in the corner of a street and asked for a pot of Yangshan tea. The tea was promptly brought to him along with some dried fruits and honey preserves. Moji drank slowly. From time to time, his elegantly shaped eyes peered across the street. Across the street was the lotus pond in the back courtyard of Lome Pavilion. A certain scruffy beauty had not appeared there for some time. Starting more than a week ago, Gumong had spaced out before this pond almost every day. He stood alone in the floating bridge on the floating bridge and did nothing but quietly stare at the fish in the pool below. His face was vacant, as if blanketed by heavy snow. At first, Moji didn't understand what was so interesting about the fish, until one day he saw Gumong try to grab one. Obviously, he couldn't catch it, so he remained crouched on the shore, blankly watching the ornamental carp shimmer as it swam away. The jut of his throat bobbed as he swallowed, his eyes gradually growing glazed. Only then did Moji realize that Gumong was hungry. It had been more than 10 days since Mironglion declared that he would reduce Gumong's rations for an entire month, so poor Gumong wanted to catch a fish to eat. But for some reason, since the day of that one unsuccessful attempt, Gumong hadn't appeared again. Moji came every day, but never again saw him crouching for fish. Today was no different. Slowly, Moji reached the bottom of the teapot and asked the shopkeeper to bring him a fresh one. He sat there for a long time, but still there was no sign of Gumong. It had been 5 days since he had emerged. Could something have happened in Lome Pavilion? Despite his indifferent facade, as Moji thought, he grew inwardly anxious. He ensured it silently, He endured it silently, drinking the last of the Yangxian tea in a futile attempt to extinguish the fire in his heart. Finally, he rose to his feet and walked across the street. Finally, you've been out there for 10 days and you haven't been... You need to give him a bite to eat, my guy! Okay, that's the end of the chapter. I need to go and, I need to... Sorry, the illustration is in the next chapter. I need to feed the dogs. I will send you on an ad break. And I will be right back. 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, hi, I'm back. Sorry that took so long. It was a little difficult to wrangle the dogs back inside. And I also did stuff my face with cheese puffs. Because, you know, I was like, I'm just gonna have like a couple to get the pill down. But you know how when you have cheese puffs, you just can't stop? You just can't stop, so it just kept going. And, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just gonna have to brush my teeth later. Okay. Next chapter. I think this is gonna be the last chapter for today. I'm feeling not so great with my reading today. I don't know. It's just not happening, you know? I was like, it's gonna warm up. I'm gonna warm up to it, and then it just didn't happen, so. We'll just see what this illustration is about, which I can see and you can't see, but I can see it. It looks so much. Oh my god, I'm actually gonna hurt so much. Oh no, I'm gonna hurt so much. Oh no, I'm really gonna hurt so much. Fuck. Okay. That's fine. Chapter 18 is called Sigil. On page 193. Outside Lome Pavilion, a low-ranked cultivator was sweeping the fallen leaves from the foxglove trees off the white jade limestone, broom rustling over the pavers. Suddenly, a pair of black leather military boots entered his line of sight. The cultivator paused, then looked up with a smile to tactfully turn away the visitor. "Honored customer, it's not yet dark. Our pavilion opens at the hour of Shu. How about you return at a later..." He was still speaking when he caught a glimpse of this customer's face. His eyes flew open, and he dropped the broom from pure terror. "Xiaojun!" The cultivator stammered, stupefied. Moji's military uniform was neat and proper, his lapels smoothly layered, his collar meticulously arranged. He was the picture of an honorable gentleman. And so it starts. Ow. Sorry. For some reason, my stomach is hurting a little bit. Can't be the cheese puffs. No way. That's too hot. Okay. Put my tongue a little. Just a little. Just enough so that I can, like, feel it. If you know what I mean. Like, you don't always feel things with your tongue. I'm actually gonna shut up. Anyway! Second time creep. Hey! I got burnt. I need to let it air out. Oi, these dogs. What are you talking about? It'll die down. I promise. It will. Me trying to convince myself this when I'm trying to sleep. I don't want to shout. Like, sometimes shouting at them works. Or just, like, calling them over works, but... Okay, thank you! That's enough! Oh. Okay, I'm just gonna get up. I'm just gonna get up and deal with it. 1 second. You can hear all of this. Doesn't matter. Oh, you're right by my door, alerting me? You don't need to be alerted anymore. Don't come in here? Come in here. You don't bark so much in here. Why are you coming back down? Go back upstairs. Go back upstairs. No, don't go back. He's such a cute baby. Okay. I hope that took care of it. Oh nope, she's coming right back down. I sent the the other dog. I sent my girl dog upstairs because she's the one that causes the barking to start happening. Cause she starts. Yep, there we go. And then my other dog. It's herd mentality, right? It's pack mentality. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can lie down. It's okay. She's just being stupid. Don't we love streams on Halloween? Isn't this so fun? You know what? I'm gonna lock her upstairs, maybe. 1 second. 1 second. Let me just deal with this again. Let me put my shoes on this time. Hey. Oi. Oi. Wow. Happy Halloween. Did I lock the door? I don't know if I did. Let me check. I keep having to climb out of this chair. I did. Oh, where's everyone? I catch my breath. Wait. Oh, sorry. Oh, lots of movement. Lots of movement. Lots of movement. Also, you know you can change your character. I don't think you have to be green. Oh my goodness. Ugh. I love having dogs. Okay, we're good. Let's continue. Where were we? Oh yeah. He was a picture of an honorable gentleman. I'm looking for someone, he said. The low-ranked cultivator's jaw was about to drop to the floor. This was Lome Pavilion, and Jihajin was known for his abstinence. He was voluntarily coming to a brothel in search of someone? Was the sun about to rise from the west? Moji's face was like frost. His expression grew even more terrifying. What are you looking at? Am I not allowed to enter? No. Come in. Stammering, the cultivator hastily beckoned him inside. Who is Jihujin looking for? Moji paused and looked away. Gumang, he said expressionlessly. Oh, so you're here looking for him? The cultivator at once let out a sigh of relief. Although the idea of Jihujin visiting brothels was completely absurd, the idea that he was looking for Gumang was reasonable. Given the depth of their mutual hatred, it would be perfectly normal for Jihujin to vent himself on Gumang if his mood was poor. Moji followed the cultivator into Lome Pavilion without a hitch. As they walked, the cultivator told Moji, Jihujin, Gumang is in that filthy shack in the back courtyard. When you go in, you should be careful of your clothes. You mustn't get them dirty. Hydrate and stretch. Why? Fine. Fine. Even though I did so much stretching just now. That's still a little hot. I'm doing it. I hope you're happy. You know, sometimes I'm actually like really scared of stretching because I have EDS and that makes my muscles weird. But then like I'll like actually pull something. But I just have to be really careful with stretching as a thing. It's fun. Look at me, PNG, I look more slutty than you. That makes me sad. Sad? What do you mean? Why? Why does it make you sad? Slay. Slay king. Be the slut of your dreams. I encourage slut behavior. We encourage slut behavior in this community. I'm a slut? Yeah, you are a slut. Sorry. It's just so ridiculous. Okay. Okay, we're going back to Gumang and Moji. Alright. This is fine. What is going on? Where are we? Oh yeah, you mustn't get them dirty. Moji knit his brows. Why would he be in there? It's a long story. Wang Shijun punished him a while ago, right? So we had Gumang do hard labor in the courtyard, chopping wood and stuff like that. But a few days ago, he must have been starving because he snuck into the dining hall in the dead of night and stole some meat buns. What then? No one would have noticed if he'd taken one or two, but he had to be a starved ghost about it, and eat 4 whole baskets in one go. He was still chewing with a bun in his hand when the cook went to check on things. Of course the cook was displeased, so he rushed over to make him pay, but then... Moji glanced at the cultivator's fearful face. Did the cook try to beat him and set off the sword array? Ah, right, Jihujin. You've seen this array before. Moji didn't answer, a hazy shadow flitting through the depths of his gaze. His lashes fluttered, then lowered, hiding his eyes. That cook went overboard with all the punching and scolding, so Gumang reacted violently, and when the sword array was triggered, the cook didn't have time to dodge, so he ended up cut up and covered in blood. The little cultivator rubbed the goosebumps on the back of his hand. Ayo, he got a few hundred wounds, so terrifying. This is just so sad. This is just abused dog behavior, and it's insane. The creator. Oh, hey, are you slut shaming? Are you slut shaming? Mod, ban that guy. That guy is mod. It's funny because the guy I'm trying to ban is the mod. One mod. Because I don't have mods. I don't have any real mods. You're fake mod. If you're slut shaming, you're a fake mod. Sorry, you did it to yourself. La 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 la. Moji was silent for a while. Is he okay? He asked. Perfectly fine, that sword array isn't too serious. Even though it leaves you with a lot of cuts, the wounds are shallow. He took a breath. To speak frankly, Shihajin doesn't need to worry. That cook is another bastard mongrel who was captured from the Lao kingdom. If he fights with Gumong, well, it's just a dogfight, well deserved. Moji said nothing. After that, the madman was furious and locked. After that, the madman was furious and locked Gumong in the woodshed. We used to give him a cornmeal bun every day, but the madam said we need to be harsher. Now he only gets one bowl of porridge to let him know the taste of suffering. The cultivator hesitated. Jihujun, how about I get people to bind him before bringing him to you? The array is too dangerous. The cook is still bedridden, bandaged up like a zongji rice dumpling. He probably won't be able to get out of bed for a few months. No need. Muji's face was impassive. I'll look in on him myself. Because he wasn't receiving guests while being punished, Gumong was staying in the most shameful little shack in Lome Pavilion. It was said that a lone wolf lives in danger. Gumong had been molded such that he had a great degree of similarity with wild wolves. He was afraid to be left alone and often muttered to himself. This frightened the other residents of Lome Pavilion, so they had decided to give him a black dog as a companion. Are you kidding me? This black dog was now sitting in front of the doorway of the shack. As soon as it saw a stranger approach, it started barking like mad. Moji's dagger-like gaze quelled it in an instant. Shihujin, that dog's afraid of you. Naturally, he had killed so many people. How could a dog hope to face him? Stepping over the stepstones on his boot-clad feet, Moji swept the heavy door curtain aside. In a single movement, his eyes skimmed the dark and narrow room. Unlike the rest of the extravagantly decorated areas in the pavilion, this room was bare and Spartan. Like barren. It contained only a pile of firewood and a couple of broken pots. In one dark corner, huddled like a wild bear, was Gumong. When he heard someone arrived, his ears twitched, and he lifted his head to look over wordlessly. Jihujun, be careful, the cultivator hurried to warn. He's hostile with everyone right now, and he puts up a hell of a fight. But Moji didn't seem to care, nodding with pure indifference. You may withdraw. The cultivator hesitated. Even though Wang Shujun said he wouldn't care if Gumong died, everyone knew he didn't mean it. If Gumong really did die, the consequences would be beyond what any of them could pay. Given how deeply General Mo hated Gumong, it was possible that the general would wait until the dead of night to chop him into pieces. I want to be alone with him for a while, Moji said. The cultivator didn't dare say anything else before his dark expression lowered. Huh? Okay. The cultivator didn't dare say anything else before his dark expression and lowered his head. Of course. After the cultivator left, Moji let go of the curtain. The thick and filthy cloth fell behind him, and the room was immediately cast into darkness. Not a single candle was lit. In the darkness, only Gumong's that's a word, limpid eyes still shone. Moji Moji frowned, suddenly noticing that something was off. What had happened to Gumong's eyes? With a wave of Moji's hand, a flame kindled in his palm. He held the fireball aloof and walked toward those 2 points of glimmering light. Gumong had been locked up for 5 days. His mind was already somewhat unstable, to say nothing of how long it had been since he'd seen such a blinding light. A low snarl rose from his throat, but when that failed to stop the interloper, he tried to flee like a wounded animal, but he was too weak. He only made it a few steps before he staggered and fell to the ground. Moji stood before Gumong as the firelight finally flooded over his pathetic form. Realizing that escape was hopeless, Gumong turned to glare at him. Sure enough, something was wrong. During their previous two meetings, between the hazy candlelight and his tumultuous emotions, Moji hadn't actually had a good look at Gumong's face. Only now did he realize that Gumong's eyes were no longer the same as before. The always smiling black eyes he remembered were gone. In their place was a pair of blue irises, gleaming with motes of light in the darkness. They were indubitably the eyes of a white wolf. That's kind of creepy. Not when you bring up the blue eyes. Moji was aware that the Lao Kingdom had carried out bestial fusion and tempered on Gumong. And tempering on Gumong. But when Moji saw the lupin traits that had replaced what he once knew so well with his own eyes, his hands started to shake. He grabbed Gumong's jar and glared fiercely into those sea blue eyes. Who was this? Responding to its conjurer's wrath, the flame in his other hand flared more and more violently. Its light burned nearly white, throwing Gumong's features into harsh relief while Moji's eyes raked ruthlessly over his body. Perhaps because this gaze was too searing, too painful, Gumong somehow managed to summon a burst of energy and threw off Moji's hand. He staggered a few steps away. Stop right there, Moji snapped. Moji left the fireball to hover in midair as he clamped a hand around Gumong's wrist. He had moved too aggressively. This time, Gumong was truly spooked, and beams of dazzling blue flashed in the dark. The array had been set off again, and dozens of intangible swords of light exploded from Gumong's body, each blade flipping around and rushing toward Moji. Blood was about to come spurting forth. Yet, in that fleeting instant, something peculiar happened. As soon as the sword glares touched Moji, they transformed into glimmering feathers. Slowly, they drifted to the floor. Gumong was immediately stupefied, but it seemed Moji had already known the sword array would be useless against him. With a yank, he dragged the stunned man back toward him and caged him in his arms. After another moment of astonishment, Gumong realized that he was again being restrained by someone's unyielding grip. He began to kick and struggle. Stay still, Moji snarled. That voice, from that close, made Gumong jerk his head up, only to panic further. He obviously knew that the sword array was his last line of defense. For Gumong to lose it was like a lone wolf losing its only weapons, its teeth, its claws. He was now at the mercy of others. He had not the slightest ability to resist this man who was filled with suppressed fury. What the fuck were you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god. Why are you messing around? You nasty. Whatever. Have fun, I guess. Oh my god, where was I? He was at the mercy of others. He had not the slightest ability to resist this man who was filled with suppressed fury. Don't. Gumong finally spoke, shivering. Chest heaving, Moji looked down at the man in his arm and ground his teeth hatefully. Don't what? Don't. Gumong had once lost the power of speech, and now that he was scared, he spoke slowly and shakily. Kill me. Bestial lights flashed in those azure eyes. He pleaded so clumsily, so painstakingly. His lips parted. I want to live. Moji's heart pounded. As he met those despairing eyes, the scar on his chest seemed to throb sharply. I do want to live. What's wrong with... What's going on? I do want to live. What's wrong with wanting to live with a clear conscience? Moji, do you understand me? Huh? I can't stand to live like this. I can't bear it. My dreams are filled with the faces of dead men. I can't keep going on. I can't keep going if I'm sober. Do you know what that pain feels like? The kind that makes you want to die night and day. You have no idea. This is all in italics, by the way. Meaning it's in his head. Meaning he's under the effects of some kind of drug? Excuse me, do you mind? Fucking hell. My god. Okay, that's fine. Before Gumong fell from grace, he had once howled at Moji, frantic and unbroken, his eyes furious as he smashed wine cups and sent blood streaming down his hands. Moji had understood this pain. But what could he have done? Back then, he could do nothing but let Gumong drunkenly cry and shout and roar, nothing but keep him company, waiting for him to slowly recover, waiting for the scars to slowly heal. After Gumong had sobered, he stopped shouting. Yet for some reason, Moji always got the feeling that although Gumong was smiling, there was something else behind that smile, something he couldn't clearly see. Later, the Emperor sent Moji away from the capital. Before he left, Gumong took him out drinking once more and grinned. That was when he'd said he was going to become a bad guy. At the time, Moji hadn't believed it. However, by the time he returned, Gumong had fallen into the stupor, intoxicated by the illusions offered by brothels, until he was completely unrecognizable. Soon after, he defected. Gumong's wounds had never truly healed. In his heart, each cut lay over another, new wounds covering old scars. He wanted to live, but every day and every night he also wanted to die. Day in and day out, damned to an eternity without reprieve. Driven by bestial survival instinct, the blue-eyed Gumong whispered sadly, I want to live. Moji closed his eyes. I won't do anything to you. The person in his arms was trembling. He'd been badly starved to the point that his cheeks were sunken and his hair hung limp. He stared at Moji's face. Moji let him stare for a long time until Gumong's trembling came to a stop. But as soon as Moji moved his arms, Gumong's eyes widened once again, darting around with unease. It was like he desired to flee, but he also knew that desire was hopeless. Moji said, It's me. Before, Moji had been disappointed, hateful, conflicted, and distraught, but now that he saw Gumong frightened and hopeless, the turmoil in his heart seemed to quieten, like a momentary pause in a torrential rainstorm. He neither grabbed and interrogated Gumong nor tormented and humiliated him as he imagined he would. Do you remember me? Moji continued after a second. Then, as if he wasn't sure why, he persisted. It's fine if you don't remember me. Huh? Huh? Hang on, you don't even know what's happening next. What? Huh? Oh boy. Gumong hadn't made a sound. Just as Moji began to grow impatient, Gumong said, I was your whore. Dead silence. Listen up, Moji said in a clipped tone, his temper flaring. Don't say that word in front of me. I came to see you that day to discuss certain matters, not to... No matter what. Whore was a word that Moji couldn't say out loud. Moji looked furiously away and snapped stiff. Remember, it was to discuss certain matters. Discuss certain matters, Gumong murmured, finally relaxing ever so slightly. Those eyes, however, remained glued to Moji's face, intent on catching every hint of emotion. He slowly asked, "But why? What do you mean, why? Why did my—" Gumong hadn't fully calmed down. He wasn't speaking as serenely and smoothly as he had the night they were reunited. The beatings and starvation had done their work. He could only speak out haltingly, one word after another. My swords went away. I can't hit you. Moji didn't respond immediately, his expression growing darker and colder. Why? Asked Gumong again. Why? That day at Muronglion's banquet, someone had lamented that despite the array's intricacies, there was no one left who understood its secrets. That man had been wrong. On that day at the banquet, someone in attendance had not only known all of the sword array's secrets, but also why it had been created in the first place. Moji, who'd kept his silence. No way! No way! Oh my god. Oh, you changed. Good for you. You're perfect now. Oy. Moji stared at Gumong's face as he held him with one arm, not letting him move. But his other hand rested Gumong's jaw and slowly slid down the side of his neck. Released Gumong's jaw and slowly slid down the side of his neck. Rough fingers came to stop over the lotus-shaped sigil. As Moji stared at Gumong in silence, caressing his neck, his eyes were very slightly red, as if in the next second he would viciously bite down on that lotus sigil, tearing through skin and flesh and veins so that Gumong would die in his arms, as if that was what it would take to ensure this man never lied to him, betrayed him, or disappointed him again. Only then would he behave. Bro, chill. Bro, chill. Bro, chill. Perhaps because Moji's expression was so fixed, his suppressed emotions so unhinged, Gumong grew alarmed. His eyes unfocused and his lips parted as though he were quietly murmuring something. Moji finally spoke, slow and deep. You can stop chanting. Gumong flinched. No matter what you try, nothing will happen. Shocked, Gumong asked, You know? I do. Moji looked away from the lotus, gaze boring slowly and deeply into Gumong's clear blue eyes. Outside of its trigger, if you really wanted it to appear, you could summon it, if you only asked for it. Gumong's face instantly paled further, his eyes widening. Moji's expression was indecipherable, as if a fathomless hatred had sunk into an equally deep fixation and trapped him there within. Gumong didn't know what he should do. But if I don't allow it to answer, it won't. Moji paused, the depths of his eyes. Wait. That was Moji. Sorry, I'm getting them mixed up. But if I don't allow it to answer, it won't. Moji paused, the depths of his eyes darkening, his pale lips parting around his slow explanation. Because it doesn't just obey you. It also obeys me. You are not its only master. Okay. Gumong's face grew more and more pallid with each word. Moji said, until that was not the end of the sentence. Pallid with each word Moji said, until it resembled a sheet of flimsy paper. He stared blankly at Moji's face from a mere inches away. Why? Moji looked down at him, breath ragged. Despite all his efforts to conceal his emotions, the pain in his eyes could no longer be disguised. His lashes quivered as he swallowed. Gumong. He closed his eyes. Have you really forgotten everything? Gumong's eyes widened, those irises clear and blue as seawater, reflecting Moji's handsome face. It can't defend me against you, he muttered, bestial weariness on his face. Why does it obey you? It was unclear whether Moji's expression was icy or agonizing. Of course it obeys me, he said, each word like frost. In the stillness that followed, Moji closed his eyes. When they snapped open, it was like lava finally breaking through the earth, his pupils a flaming scarlet. Oh ho 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 ho. Of course it obeys me, he said with barely contained fury. Because your sigil used my blood, and your sigil was drawn by my hand. Because the one who created this array was never you, it was me. Gumong clearly didn't understand what Moji was saying, but he could understand the anger and a heartbreak on his face before him. He stared at the stranger with wide eyes. This man's expression was unbearably complicated, as if it had accumulated more than a decade of love and hatred, suppressed more than a decade of suffering, and finally exploded with more than a decade of despair. Oh, that was good paragraph. Wow, sentence, really. Moji suddenly raised a hand and tore cruelly at the neat, proper layers of his own collar to expose the side of his bare and slender neck. Moji's gaze was tempered with cold light and coated in icy fire. Every word came from between gritted teeth. Do you see it? The light in his eyes was sharp, but it was also tearful. This sigil, identical to yours, in your blood, by your hand, it was done for you. As Moji spoke, he abruptly pushed Gumong away, as if he no longer wanted to touch or to look at him. Moji brought a hand to his brow. The end of his sentence caught within his throat. That's the end of the chapter. That's full on just the end of the chapter. Oh, oh boy. Oh boy. Also, let me describe the illustration that was in this chapter. It's of Gumong and his sword array. Look, his eyes are glowing, and he's looking so scared and so kicked puppy, and I am going to kill myself. Okay, bye. Can you take a pic and send it? I mean, I guess. I guess I could. Oh my god. It's spicy. It is spicy, but not in the way you'd expect it to be. Oh my god, it hurts so much. Oh my god. Well, that's where we're ending for today. Do you mind? I swear to god. Oh my god. You know what the next chapter is called? Chapter 19 is called Wait for You. And that's fine. And that is so fine. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm just gonna cry. I'm just gonna cry. Okay, that's fine. That's where we're ending today. I hope you had a good time. Or some time. I don't even know how to describe this time. It's crazy. Next thing you know, he's gonna pin him to a wall. Stop it! His heart hurts too much to do that. I've also been told that doesn't happen in this book. But maybe next book. Who knows? Ooh. Oh, my heart hurts. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. I hope you have a good Halloween. Or something. I don't know. If you don't celebrate, that's fine. I don't really. I mean, I'm not doing anything clearly. That is because I am not a party goer and I don't have that many IRL friends to do things with. So, and there are no safe third places that yeah, that are COVID safe. So, thanks. I don't know how to say thanks to the government. Fucking bitch asses. Anyway, I gotta go. I actually have to go to the bathroom real bad. But I hope you enjoyed this somehow. I hope you have a good day, good rest of your day, and I will see you. Actually, you know what? Tomorrow, be there. Be there tomorrow. Be there at Sukiyaki's stream because there's karaoke things happening. Karaoke things happening tomorrow at 8 p.m. PDT. On Sukiyaki's channel. So you know, I'll be retweeting stuff on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm very active on Blue Sky, by the way, more active on Blue Sky than Twitter. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. That is happening tomorrow, and I'm very excited for it. Link your Twitter on Blue Sky? No, it's in my about. You can go to my about. Actually, I don't know if it's in my about. I don't know if Blue Sky's in my about. Anyway, I've got to go to the bathroom. Okay, bye.